Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Martyn Lucas Investor, a Virgin Galactic special. We're going to break down everything that you need to know around Virgin Galactic getting ready for tonight's earnings. This is the stock that with the right conditions, we could see it going to $100. I've been saying now for a long time, nearly 3 years, and we used to rank #1 in the world for this stock when everyone was talking about it, and they're starting to talk about it again. So without further ado, let's get straight into this. This is going to be a Virgin Galactic special. We're going to cover everything that you need to know around Virgin Galactic. It reports its fourth quarter and full year 25 earnings today. After the market closes with a conference call at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Central, I will be there for it all. The headline numbers are almost beside the point. Wall Street expects a loss of roughly $1.12 per share on revenue of 0.4 million. What matters is whether this company can survive long enough to fly. That's what this company is all about. Next generation Delta spacecraft, because right now it is burning through approximately 100 million every quarter with no revenue on flights, no operating business, and a market cap of around 165 million. We'll talk about Richard Branson. He was here at the beginning, not so much now. Well below the cash it had on its balance sheet just a few months ago. It's burning through its money, but we are going to cover it all as we open the doors onto Virgin Galactic. Let's get ready. Are you ready for a bumper night of Virgin Galactic? Well, let's go. We've got the Virgin Galactic colors here in the studio to boot. The nice purple color. All right, have you all tapped the like button? I hope you have. And have you considered subscribing? We're going to cover the call tonight live. Let's get straight into it. The stock closed last week at 226, down over 99%. Excuse me. From its split adjusted all-time high in early of 2021. And yet an unexpected twist in the competitive landscape has given Virgin Galactic something it has not had in years, a plausible window to become the sole provider of suborbital space tourism through at least 2028. Whether the company can actually reach that window before the money runs out is the question, the central question, and we'll be covering it tonight. So are you excited for the Virgin Galactic earnings? It's going to be really, really exciting. You can see how the chart has dramatically fallen off a cliff. As you can see, pinned to the top in this live stream are all of my there's a link to my Discord where I provide 24 hours a day, 7 days a week trades, one-on-one support in our stage events every single day. You might want to join me there. If you also want our newsletter, it's 50% off right now as we introduce our training course. It's coming out today, tomorrow. We are right there on it. You can get 50% off and you can follow along with my news from our very own research, our very own newsletter, which ranks #2 in the bestseller list on Substack, the #1 place for Virgin Galactic. So let's continue our story. It's a lot to cover, so buckle up. It's a special for you. So 22 months grounded, $1.66 million in annual revenue. Virgin Galactic has not flown a single mission since June 2024 when its VSS Unity spacecraft completed its 7th and final commercial flight. The company deliberately retired Unity. The vehicle it's spent over a decade developing to redirect all resources towards the Delta fleet. This is what it's all about. Remember, the first flights were all about efficiency. They were all about just simply proving the concept, getting the thing to work, and so on and so forth. You've seen it over time. If you want further information, look in our newsletter. I've dropped the link in the chat for you. It will be below in the description as well if you're watching this later. These are all the flights. These are all the turnarounds. All the data alongside my research here is provided in the newsletter. So let's carry on. In the interim, the entire business generates roughly $400,000 per quarter in deposit fees from its backlog of around 675 ticket holders waiting for flights. Trailing 12-month revenue stands at $1.66 million against an annualized cash burn exceeding $400 million. This was a calculated decision. Unity could not fly about once per month with only 4 passengers, making profitability impossible. That's what Delta is all about. I'm going to share on the screen now for you the cash runway. You can see how it's all been going. Again, look in the newsletter. I'll give you the link and you can follow along with all the information, extra information contained in our newsletter. 50% discount right now, excuse me, and you can get that as our training course comes out today or tomorrow. We're about to drop it to you. Very, very exciting. We are really excited about it. So over its lifetime, Unity completed just 32 flights, 12 of which reached space, carried approximately 25 paying customers across 7 commercial missions, and required extensive maintenance. It never stopped. It continued all the time. Between each one, the oxidizer tank alone needed replacement roughly every 40 flights. Think about all of that for a moment. Management concluded it was a technology demonstrator, not a business, and chose to skip incremental upgrades and leap straight to a production grade platform, which is what we are hoping to hear about tonight. The risk in that strategy is now unavoidable. The company voluntarily gave up its only revenue source on the promise that a better vehicle would arrive within roughly 2 years. We're at that point now. We want to see it. We want to see it now. Okay, let's get to it. 22 months in, Delta has not flown. What Delta actually changes, what Delta really means. Let's focus on that right now. The Delta-class spacecraft shares Unity's external shape, but it's a fundamentally different machine under the skin. Where Unity was hand-built as a prototype, Delta is designed for serial production with a supplier chain anchored by Bell Textron for feathering, the tethering system and flight controls, and Quaban Aerospace for composite structures. The numbers are striking. Delta carries 6 passengers instead of 4. Its oxidizer tank is rated for over 500 flights versus Unity's roughly 40 flight limit. Turnaround time drops from a month to days. This is what it's all about, all right? This is now what makes it a business rather than a concept. Again, look in our newsletter, find the details of how the numbers are going. I'll give you the link again. There it is in our newsletter. It's pinned in the chat as well. Make sure that you follow on to get all this information, all right? So now we've got days rather than months. That's what we've been waiting for. So the management targets up to 8 flights per month with 2 ships compared to Unity's 1 at a ticket price north of $600,000 per seat. 2 Delta ships operating at planned cadence would generate approximately $450 million in annual revenue with projected EBITDA margins of 20 to 25%. An expanded 4-ship fleet with a second mothership targets close to $1 billion in revenue at 45 to 50% margins. This is fantastic if all of this can come off. And we'll learn all about this tonight. Make sure you stay with us for the earnings. It'll take you directly there. If you tap the like button and consider subscribing, it'll take you directly to the earnings call tonight. Stay with me. Final assembly of the first Delta ship began in March of 2025 at a purpose-built facility near Phoenix. As of the third quarter 2025, the fuselage was tracking slightly ahead of its revised schedule. This is good news, with roughly 90% of structural parts on site. Wing assembly was completed in late 2025. The feather assembly from Bell Textron slipped into the first quarter of 2026 due to composite skin manufacturing issues. Though management described this as not on the critical path, but a separate issue, with fuselage skin Article 1 involving variations in core material density led to a modest schedule adjustment, pushing the initial research spaceflight from summer to autumn of 2026. The upgrade mothership VMS Eve has completed its enhancement program and resumed test flights. Great. Now capable of 3 to 4 flights per week. The timeline calls for flight testing in the third quarter of 2026, initial research in the fourth quarter, and private astronaut flights 6 to 8 weeks after that. Management has stated it expects positive free cash flow within 2 to 3 months of beginning commercial service. Very, very exciting time to be in Virgin Galactic. I might myself start buying back in this stock. I've always said it can go to $100, so I wouldn't mind putting my money where my mouth is. These are some of the targets that some are giving. We've got Goldman Sachs, $36. We've got Jefferies, $8. $4.50 from TD Cowen, Wells Fargo, 75 cents underweight. So you can see how it ranges here. No one talking about the $100 yet. That will come when it starts to fly regularly. So none of this has been demonstrated in flight so far. The burn rate has been moderating. Operating expenses are down meaningfully year over year, with an 18 to 19% reduction in third quarter alone. This is big news. But capital expenditure is elevated at $51 million in the third quarter, $156 million for the first 9 months of 2025, as Delta Manufacturing consumes resources. Property, plant and equipment grew 67% year over year to $350 million by the end of September, reflecting the Phoenix facility build-out and tooling investment. In December, the company executed its most consequential financial maneuver. It retired approximately $355 million of its 2.5% convertible notes due in 2027 and replaced them with $203 million in new first lien notes paying 9.8% due in December of 2028. Plus $46 million in new equity and warrants. Total debt dropped from $425 million to around $273 million, and the maturity was pushed past the Delta commercial launch window. Okay, now then, the cost was severe. Annual interest expense roughly doubled to approximately $21 million per year on the new notes alone. The new debt carries a first priority lien on substantially all company assets, meaning bondholders sit ahead of equity holders in a restructuring. Warrants for over 30 million shares at $6.70 plus pre-funded warrants could push the share count from approximately 73 million today to well over 100 million, combined with the ongoing at-the-market equity program with Jefferies, through which the company sold approximately 138 million worth of shares through the third quarter. Shares outstanding have roughly doubled from around 35.5 million to 73 million in 13 months. At the guided burn rate, the company has an estimated 3 to 4 quarters of runway. 3 to 4 quarters of runway from its year-end cash position. That places the critical funding cliff around the third or fourth quarter of 2026. So we are getting to it, folks. We're getting down to it where things get very, very critical, and Virgin Galactic need to be successful. We've seen the chart looking awful, but is this now the best time ever to buy Virgin Galactic? Well, it's a do or die time. It's either going to go to $100 over the next year or so, or it's going to go to zero. The choice is yours to make. This is not financial advice. I'm simply sharing my thoughts with you. Delta needs to begin flying, and it needs to begin flying now. The company's own 10Q acknowledges that changing circumstances may cause us to consume capital significantly faster than we currently anticipate. The monopoly that nobody expected. In late January, Blue Origin announced it would pause New Shepard flights for at least 2 years to redirect resources towards its lunar lander program and NASA's Artemis missions. The final flight before the pause, NS-38, launched on 2022 launched on the 22nd of January, carrying 6 passengers. New Shepard had completed 38 consecutive successful flights and carried 98 people past the Kármán line, the internationally recognized boundary of space at 100 kilometers altitude. Blue Origin CEO Dave Limp acknowledged the weight of the decision, saying the pause was necessary to redirect people and resources toward the company's human lunar capabilities and the New Glenn orbital rocket. Some Blue Origin employees reportedly viewed the move as an effective cancellation of the New Shepard program, though the company has not confirmed that. The timing could not be better. The timing could not be better for Virgin Galactic. Absolutely, the timing could not be better for Virgin Galactic. If the Delta timeline holds, the company would become the only operational suborbital space tourism provider through at least 2028. I apologize, the super chats aren't showing on screen. I'll share them at the end. There are some issues today with YouTube. We are experiencing all kinds of outages on YouTube, but I will share the comments in a few moments. So let's move on to Richard Branson. We've featured him a lot here on the show. Let's talk about Richard Branson. He said as much as Space.com Europe earlier this month, stating that Virgin Galactic could fill the gap, and would be really the only way that in the future years people are going to be able to get that kind of experience. This puts Virgin Galactic now fully in the driving seat. We were concerned about competition. Now we don't feel it. This is arguably the strongest strategic argument for the company right now. A multi-year monopoly in suborbital tourism, combined with 675 to 800 backlog ticket holders willing to pay north of $600,000, could generate substantial revenue if the vehicle works. Some bearish analysts counter that if a company with functionality unlimited resources like Blue Origin decided suborbital tourism was not worth the immediate focus, that raises questions about the long-term viability of the sector. However, Virgin Galactic is nothing like Blue Origin. They were charging $20 million a pop. This is $600,000. Very different. That's a fair point, however, but it does not reflect the business. Though Blue Origin's decision was driven by the Artemis program and its $3.6 billion NASA contract for the Blue Moon lunar lander, not by walking away from tourism economics. There is also a potential customer migration effect as well. Blue Origin's New Shepard had built a multi-year customer backlog of its own. Some of those ticket holders may seek alternatives while they wait, and Virgin Galactic could be the only game in town. This is fantastic for Virgin Galactic. Wall Street is still deeply divided, as I've shown you on the chart. Looking scary. If you want this chart, by the way, it's in our newsletter. Grab it now, 50% off, as our training course comes out today or tomorrow. It's imminent. We're about to release it, so we're celebrating with our best ever discount of 50%. You can see the chart. We've got a chart of the day, all the indicators put on there, and you can follow that in our newsletter. So, analyst coverage reflects extreme uncertainty. The range of price targets on Virgin Galactic is one of the widest of any stock in the market. It truly is, from a few cents to $100. It all comes down to whether they deliver tonight and they start flying. And everything is going to plan when it comes to the technology. They just need to do it now. Galactic is one of the widest of any stock in the stock market. Analyst ratings and price targets for Virgin Galactic SPCE as of March 2026. Goldman Sachs has hit the highest target at $36, which assumes Delta hits its cadence targets and the company scales into functioning spaceline. Wells Fargo sits at the other extreme at 75 cents, essentially pricing in terminal insolvency. That is equally likely. Which side of the fence are you going to be on? That kind of dispersion tells you everything about the nature of this stock. It is not a conventional equity. It is a binary bet. Institutional ownership has collapsed. It has. The most recent 13F filings show a sharp decline in institutional holders. Short interest stands at approximately 17 million shares, or 23.3% of shares outstanding. But that is also its strength, because we could see that Virgin Galactic could get a massive short squeeze if we get good news. Retail is the hero on this stock, and they are the ones driving it. And when it starts to go up, institutions with clarity and certainty will jump back in again. So we have a huge 23.3% shares outstanding short right now, with a borrow fee north of 25%, reflecting intense bearish conviction. But that also shows you when we get the best price return as well. No insider has made an open market purchase. All insider acquisitions visible in filings are restricted. Stock unit vesting events tied to compensation. So what to watch for tonight? On the earnings call, we are covering it tonight. Tonight's call matters more than any Virgin Galactic earnings report in recent memory. The headline, loss is irrelevant. Here is what counts. Cash position is the single most critical number. The market needs to see the exact year-end 2025 balance after the December restructuring. Any figure below 300 million raises immediate survival questions. Anything above 350 million buys credibility and suggests the restructuring net effect was positive. Delta timeline confirmation will move the stock. It most certainly will move the stock. Management has maintained the third quarter of 2026 for flight testing and the fourth quarter for commercial service. Listen for specific language about fuselage completion, integration progress, and whether the feather assembly from Bell Textron arrived on the revised first quarter 2026 schedule. New ticket sales, also a very important factor, is a leading indicator tonight of demand at the 600,000 plus price point. That's important. Management indicated sales would reopen in the first quarter of 2026 with 150,000 deposits. Any disclosure of new reservations beyond the legacy 675 to 800 backlog validates demand at premium pricing and would be a meaningful positive signal. Capital raise signals matter enormously. Any mention of that tonight at the markets program recent utilization, an updated share count, or hedging language about exploring options to strengthen the balance sheet would signal further dilution is coming. Finally, defense and research applications could provide a second narrative. The company announced a calibration with Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, LLNL, in December of 2025 to test advanced sensor systems aboard its vehicles, positioning the Eve mothership platform for government and intelligence applications under what the company calls Hail Heavy for high altitude, long endurance heavy lift. With the Golden Dome Missile Defense Initiative commanding a budget estimated between 175 billion and 185 billion, any progress in positioning for government contracts would represent a diverse revenue path that reduces dependence on the pure tourism thesis. The bottom line, what it all comes down to tonight, Virgin Galactic is not a conventional stock and should not be evaluated like one. It generates almost no revenue, has never flown the vehicle in its entire business, depends on and faces a cash runway measured in quarters, not in years. The share count has doubled in 13 months through dilution and the December debt restructuring, traded cheap, interest rates for expensive ones, with a first priority lean on everything the company owns. At 2.26, the market cap of 165 million sits below the company's estimated cash balance, which means the market is assigning close to zero value to the Delta program. The intellectual property, the FAA licenses, the brand, and 675 to 800 ticket holders who have each put down deposits on seats costing more than $500,000. And that is where the asymmetry sits. The Blue Origin pause has created a window that did not exist 6 months ago, a potential multi-year monopoly in suborbital tourism for whoever can get a vehicle flying first. If Delta delivers on schedule and the cash lasts, and the company could be generating hundreds of millions in annual revenue by 2028 in a market it has entirely to itself. Goldman Sachs sees a path to $36, while Wells Fargo sees 75 cents. Both are credible outcomes, which is exactly what makes this a binary story. For anyone considering a position right now, this is the kind of name that belongs as a very small part of a portfolio, sized for a total loss, because the risk to reward ratio at these levels is not terrible if the cash runway holds and Delta actually flies. But that is a big if. If is doing an enormous amount of heavy lifting right now. Tonight's earnings call, specifically the cash number and any Delta timeline updates, will determine whether the bridge to commercialization is still standing, or whether the market starts pricing in the bear case in full. So that's it, folks. The Virgin Galactic earnings is now upon us. It is live. It's tonight. We're going to cover it. Hopefully you'll join us for the live event tonight. It'll take you there automatically. I'm now going to give you the link pinned in the top. And let me give this to you now. This is what's happening tonight. Here is the Virgin Galactic event. Let me just give it to you, and then you can all join me for the event tonight. This is it here. This is the event, all right? It will automatically take you there, but I will also pin it right now and take away my Discord information, where I will be in a few minutes with my Discordians for their daily update. It had to be delayed today for all this news. So SPCE live. It's now coming in the chat for you. There it is, pinned to the top. Let me drop that a couple of times. Go there now. Get yourself ready for which could be a very, very exciting evening for all concerned. That's it from me. I'll be over on Discord in a few moments, doing all my live Q&A, my support of what the markets are showing us today, on what a day it has been. Look at my portfolio, up thousands of dollars, up about $8,000 from the close on Friday to where we are today. Fantastic. I'll be sharing all of my trades, what I'm about to sell, what I'm about to buy, answer all your questions live on Discord in just a few minutes' time. Click above my head for all the links down below the description, pinned in the comments. It'll all be there once this live stream processes. Over here is the Virgin Galactic event, and down here is the something else. I can't think what it is right now, but something else. That's it from me. No time for live Q&A now. I'll be on Discord in a few minutes for everybody, all members, as it's Monday. Take care of yourselves. Until next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other. Good luck tonight on Virgin Galactic. It's going to be exciting.